almost the only time that brand or branding is discussed in the sort of national media in the UK, it's to complain about some new logo which costs £500,000. But there's often virtually no defence from the design consultancy, or no attempt to explain to the general public that that £500,000 price tag wasn't just for somebody to draw a logo, that actually was a bit more complicated than that. So I'd just like to ask the two of you to imagine yourselves on, say, the BBC News, and Company X has just come out with a new logo. It costs £500,000. How do you explain to the general public why that might have cost so much money and why it's valuable and why it's necessary?
Do you want to go?
Well, I want to go back one question for a moment, because it's to do with language. I remember working for a local authority in London called Southwark, I think, and they had a form, and I remember precisely the language on this form. It was called a rent rebate form. Rent rebate meaning the money you can get back from the council for the rent that you've paid. And it said on it, give details of all other persons residing in the rented accommodation you actually occupy other than yourself stroke husband wife, right? Give details of all other persons residing in the rented accommodation you actually occupy other than yourself stroke husband wife. And we got 10 people in literally from the street and asked them what it meant, what they thought it meant. And they said it meant they're trying to get us out of our accommodation, right? So we changed it to who else lives with you. Well, you didn't have to get 10 people to come in and say, what does who else lives with you mean? Because it means who else lives with you. Now that kind of obfuscation of language goes on absolutely everywhere in corporate government life. And I spend a great deal of my time now in all the various things that I do simply dealing with pumped up, ludicrous, hard to understand language. And the bad writing is not just bad writing, it's actually bad thinking expressed in words. And you see so much of that. It's just, sorry about it, it drives me nuts.
Well, and to my other question, how would you explain, especially to the layman, to the general public, who really don't seem to get?
Well, I think that what happens is, first of all, it's probably misinformation. It probably hasn't cost £500,000. So that's the first thing. And if the question is, what did it cost and how can you explain what it cost, the answer is it's like buying anything. You pay for the ingredients and bringing the ingredients together. And in this case, the ingredients probably are thought, processes, meetings, and all sorts of things which in actually companies, somebody was talking this morning about the but factor. You know, you show some work to somebody and they say, I really like it, but, you know, companies themselves make it enormously complicated to take a decision because nobody wants to say yes. They can't quite say yes because there's somebody above them who might say, why did you say yes? There's somebody above them who might say, well, why did you say yes? You know, so there's a lot of anticipated blame complicating the whole process. You know, it's almost if I imagined you offered somebody in a company a slice of cake and they said, oh, that's a very interesting offer, thank you very much, I need to come back to you on that. You know, it's a very nice piece of cake, but we need to have a meeting about it. And we'll get back to you on the cake next week. And you ring up next week and say, well, I offered you some cake last week, would you like it? And they'd say, we actually did have a meeting about it, but we couldn't come to a decision as to whether we want the cake or not. So there's going to be another series of meetings about it. Actually, we're getting some colleagues in from different countries around the world to discuss your very generous offer of a slice of cake. But nobody can just say, God, that looks like a great slice of cake, I'll have it and eat it. It just doesn't happen. And that's where the money goes.
See, that's what I mean about Michael. Very interesting, but he didn't actually answer the question.
That was the answer to the question.
So, Wally, okay, I'm Paxman, I'm sneering at you.
Okay, well, you're sneering. I'd say two things to you. First of all, this is a symbol. And a symbol is literally what it is. What lies behind the symbol is what is significant. Michael was talking this morning about the Red Cross. You see the Red Cross, and what it indicates is total invulnerability by being so completely vulnerable. Yeah. Because you know if you attack it, it can't attack back, you won't attack it. That makes it invulnerable. So what we're talking about, whether we're talking about the Nazi symbol or whether we're talking about the Red Cross symbol or the Christian symbol or whatever you like, we're talking about something which has immense emotional impact. That's the first thing. The second thing is you do not design such a thing without an immense amount of work going on behind it. Yes, it may have cost £500,000, it may have cost £5 million, but the amount of impact that that symbol will have, which is the symbolization of all the stuff that everybody's been thinking about for the last 6 months, is going to have an impact for the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, or 50 years, which so far outweighs this tiny sum of money about which you're speaking, it's hardly worth talking about. Next question?
Yeah, but no, hang on, hold on. No, hold on. Well,
in fact, I would say, when I think about it, I'm amazed that we charge so little.
You may well clap. You may well clap. But when it consists of taking one wavy line of 3 wavy lines in the ICI symbol, I can see why people get pissed off with it.
Whose side are you on?
I can see why people get pissed off with it. I absolutely can see it. You know, I think some of the work, and I'm not talking about Wolff Olins here, I think some of the quality of work and quality of thinking that some of the major design companies charge people a lot of money for is obscene and absurd.
I agree with you, but that's a different question.
Well, okay, maybe a different question.